fight tonight.
Okay, so the fact that I'm selling my 18s has got a lot of people disappointed. I'm also going to be selling the Beamers and a few amps and a few crossovers and EQs and things. Please understand from my point. It's not the end of my channel. It's not the end of my videos. It's not the end of anything. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of something new on my channel, which is going to be a complete and utter audio rebuild, new video series with full rebuilds, full details, and everything going into depth. Just so you are well aware, the 18s are in a good home, a good safe home, being well looked after. I have a photo from the person who bought them off me of his setup in his room with the subs, which far outweighs what mine ever was. If I'll just pop it up quickly on my phone here, it far outweighs what mine ever was anyway. Let's just have a quick look at this guy's setup. This here, if my phone has auto rotate, there we go. That right there is my subs. One there, one there. That is where my subs have gone. Look at that. That again is another extremely overkill system. But that's where my subs have gone. They've gone to a good home with someone who's passionate about audio, which is exactly what I wanted. So, as far as that goes, there are future plans now. There's going to be a full audio rebuild, and in this video you're going to see the very start of it. Today's video, I'm just going to be pulling the Beamers apart, pretty much just resoldering everything to make them as professional I can, because when I got them they were sketchy as all the way around, so I'm going to pull them all apart, resolder them, make sure everything is really good and running before I then sell them for a very cheap price, because I just want to get rid of them. I got them for free, so I'm just going to put some work into them. And hopefully, basically it's just going to be paying for my labor of fixing them up. And I've cared for them, I've cleaned them up, I've put effort into them. Plus they're worth something, so it's pretty much labor that you're paying for anyway if someone was to actually buy them. But as far as that goes, there are plans for a new audio system. I'm planning to buy a sub very soon, which will be the first system start sort of thing, and I'm really planning on hopefully getting some sort of partnership or something with Parts Express to get like a discount on products from there, because I've gone through on Parts Express and I pop in like these details and I want this sub and I want this and I want that, and like let's say my cart adds up to like $300, which is maybe the price of a sub or so, or I'm not going to drop any price hints as to what was coming in the future, because it's going to be a surprise as every single one of these videos gets released. But when on Parts Express and say like a $300 worth of like subs and some like, you know, stuff to go along with it, some cables, terminals, some screws and things like that, by the time we get shipping costs and convert it from the US dollar to Australian dollar, the price goes up substantially to over double that. You jump on Parts Express and you buy an Ultimax 18, that costs you $280. For something like that to then get shipped to Australia and pay for it in Australia, you'd be looking, yeah, $600 or $700 for an Ultimax 18. The conversion rate is ridiculous, and unfortunately that's just how it is. So if I can work out 5 or 10% off or some sort of deal with Parts Express, man oh man, I'd be so excited. I'd be able to do some really good builds and keep making like build videos, and hopefully like you guys enjoy those and I keep doing it and educate you guys on how I'm doing it. And hopefully we could just turn this channel into something awesome. Just know, people were curious as to what sort of system I'm going for. It's not going to be a ginormous PA. Probably going to power the subs again by PA amplifiers. Might get a second CB900 and sell the 2800s, but we'll wait till I get that subwoofer in its enclosure and see which amplifier powers it best, because the 900 may just lack slightly. Although I think it might actually just be the perfect amplifier for the situation. Nevertheless, there will be subs. Well, sub to start with a plan on it being subs. They're not going to be 15s, they're not going to be 18s, they're not, actually I'm not going to give away what they're going to be. They're not going to be 21s, they're not going to be 12s, they're not going to be 10s, they're not going to be anything else. They're going to be a size, and I'm not going to list what it is. But as far as that goes, I got plans to have a sub, add a second one later on. I'm going to build left and right. I'm then going to build a matching center and then matching rears. It's going to be essentially a high-end, good sounding hi-fi home theater system, which is going to sound amazing. And then hopefully, I always repeat words and I don't know why, we're going to replace eventually in the future, I hope, this TV, because it's 46 inches and it's a pretty big TV for the bedroom size, but with today's day and age I should probably just slap up a ginormous projector and get some real good footage in here. But that's that. This is only the beginning of my channel and only the beginning of what is going to be a new audio build. It's not the end. The 18s are gone, I understand it's a big deal, but it's not the end at all. It's the beginning of something new and something to be very excited about. As you can see here as well, I'm actually missing a screw out of this one horn, and I actually believe it is in the other Biemas speaker because there's something loose that rattles around in there, so I'm hoping it's this and not something else, but hopefully we can get the whole horn bolted back down because I am missing this one right here. So let's remove the first horn of the first one. I'm going to be doing these one at a time because if I don't, I'm going to be here forever with no music, because whenever I'm not recording, I crank up some music so the time flies real quick. But with that being said, let's pull this horn out and assess it, make sure everything's soldered up correctly, and if it is, we'll pop it back in and yeah. All right, let's pull this the horn out. All right, so here we are. The horn is completely out. You can see it's pretty small. Oh, here we go. Simple, very simple. Just push terminals on the tweeter there, so I can see that's connected very solid. That too is very connected, solid, very English as well. So we know this particular horn right here is pretty much fine, not sketchy at all, fine to be mounted back into the cabinet. That tweeter or horn is perfect. All right, so now we're onto the mid of the first Biemas speaker. Let's hopefully get this thing out without stripping anything, because these are just wood screws that go straight in. There's actually, surprisingly enough, there's no T-nuts on these at all, so they're pretty sketchy with the mid. It just fastens straight in, and bang, there's the mid driver. Still a pretty beefy woofer, to be honest. It's got an extended pole mount on it. Again, checking the wiring. This mid's pretty well done, and yeah, that shouldn't fail anyone either. So we'll pop the mid back in, and we'll move our way down to the 15-inch woofer. Okay, so I've actually flipped the cabinet up on its back, and you can actually see the pole mount I put on the bottom of this cabinet so I could mount it up on poles. But let's pull the woofer out now, because the woofers I think were the sketchiest thing, because I think they'd actually been replaced before. So let's pull the woofer out, give it a check over. I'm just making sure everything is really good before I sell it, because I don't want anything to play up on the next owner. Alright, so the woofer's all unscrewed now, and I'm so glad I had a drill to do it, because look at the amount of thread I would have had to undo by hand if I didn't have that drill. That is a ridiculous amount. Look at all of that. That would have taken ages to undo. Nevertheless, the woofer is now unscrewed and right to be pulled out of the cabinet and stuck to the side, wherever it decides to fit. So here you're able to see what I was talking about at the start of this video about a little bit of sketchiness happening. As we can see here, the positive side is just a straight on terminal and it works fine. Whereas on the negative side, we've got the good old classic wrap the wire around and hope for the best here. As you can see, the wire is just straight up wrapped into there, and that is not how you do it. So I'm going to pop some solder on that and solder that in and make that all legit and sweet again. But essentially, I've now got a light, so let's take a look inside of the enclosure to see
how well these speakers are built. Alright, so I have my crappy light set up facing inside of the enclosure, and let's have a look. Down here we have a bit of bracing, the box for the mid-range just there, some bracing for the handles, more bracing, more bracing, more bracing, and some pretty untidy wires. Some writing on here, what's that say? It says, I don't know. I can't read that, it's got nothing on it. But besides that, it's just a pretty hefty sized crossover in there, as you can see, which would be the 3-way crossover. As you can see, there is my pole mount that I installed into the cabinet. Oh, that's the screw just there. There is the screw that was rattling around. And unfortunately for me, it's not the screw I actually needed for the other horns. So one of the horns is missing a screw. That's unfortunate. I'll keep that for a future project, hopefully. But yeah, that's inside the Biemas. This one's pretty good. Just got to solder this driver back down. And yeah, that one's alright. So this one's alright, and then after this we'll just check out the other one, make sure the other one's just as good. And that's pretty much it for this first video of the new audio build series, where I go into detail. That looks really cool lighting like that. It looks like the inside's like lit. God. But nevertheless, that's inside the Biemas. Hope you've enjoyed. Let's do the second one. Alright, so that's this first cabinet fully done now. I'm just checking over all the crossover and all that is perfectly soldered down, because I have had one of these input cups over here fail me. However, they are soldered up strong as now, and should not fail the next person, which is exactly what I want. So this driver's ready to go back in and fully complete. So let's pop that back in now. And then we'll move our way on to the second one.
Listen, swaggin'.
Holy shit, I genuinely never realized there was a completely different horn in the other cabinet. We can see this one here is by far definitely not soldered down. We can see the very sketchy wrap the wire around. I actually think this other channel here is. Yeah, there's a little dab of solder on the yellow wire just there, but the black one's just wrapped in there. So I never noticed, and surprisingly they actually must have matched up very well, because I never noticed a difference between the two as far as horns goes. So that's pretty cool. Knowing that is that's a very interesting thing. These speakers have been used and abused ever since, or before I got them, and they've been looked after since I've had them. But that's a very interesting discovery, that there are different horns in each woofer, each cabinet. Wow, I'm actually shocked. Anyway, let's solder this horn back down so it's all done correctly, and then we'll move on to the mid, in which I've already pulled out on this one. As you can see over there, you can see the glue around the dust cap. That's because I had to pull something out of there once before. So the mid-range is actually fine, and I already know that, so I'm not going to worry about the mid-range. So I'm going to check the horn, move straight down to the resolder the horn, move down to the woofer, resolder the woofer, check the crossover and the inputs, and then that's pretty much it for this video. Alright, let's solder this back down and together. I'm just going to add some solder to the yellow anyway, just to play it safe. Look at that. Man, my soldering is horrible. There's the first one down. Let's do the second one. Touch that, bang. And some solder in. And there we have it. They are now correctly all soldered up, so that won't be going anywhere and causing any issues in future. And yeah, now let's move our way down to the woofer. The more that I think about it now, actually remembering, I did think that one of the horns sounded slightly different, and that obviously explains why. I actually pulled the diaphragm of this one apart once before and cleaned dust out of it, and then I thought that it sounded better. There was dust and it was definitely causing some sort of scratching, and it definitely sounded better after that, but I definitely did think at one stage they sounded off. But the more you know that they're actually different horns, but they match up very, very well. Since that dust has been gone, it's very, very impossible to distinguish the two. Well, it turns out this one's already been soldered, and it turns out I filmed this whole video with image stabilizing off, so I apologize for that if the video looked absolutely terrible. But in the meantime, look what I found. It's the screw for the horn. I can't believe I'd never spotted that before, because the amount of times I've pulled these cabinets apart looking for it is actually ridiculous. So there it is. There's the screw for the horn. Pretty sure it's just stripped out anyway, so it's probably just gonna slide in there. Half the screws on this horn's actually stripped anyway. Whoever pulled it apart previously did a pretty terrible job. But bang on, we now have all the bolts in all the horns. The woofer's soldered. Just about put my foot on the soldering iron. That could have been catastrophic. Nevertheless, inside the cabinet is not sketchy at all. Everything is all good. There we go. The Biemas are all really, really good. I'm lying down now because I can, but as far as that goes, the Biemas are set. They're all good and working. They're ready to be sold. If you want them, send me a message in direct message, and if you're near Melbourne, you know what? They could possibly be yours now that you know they're all good. And anyway, with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed the first video of the audio rebuild series. Let's build a system and let's do it well this time. Without that being said, like the video if you did, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.